Good morning, class. Could be my last video for Dreamweaver. So the purpose of this exercise is actually collect information from visitors, like for instance comments, concerns, and also maybe some kind of feedback or just contacting us kind of thing. So it's actually we're gonna create a form to allow people to contact you. We're gonna also nice thing about Dreamweaver that gonna allow you to insert input controls quickly, and not just that, allow you to uh, require certain informations as well and validate it. So the first thing I need to do is actually I'm gonna create a new file, and you can attach the existing Washington style, and you can browse and make sure this is the right one. Click OK, and I'm gonna give it a document feedback form and create. So what I'm gonna do with this particular exercise, I'm gonna hit two features at the same time. First, we're gonna create a table. Then I'm gonna cut the table, put it inside a form. It's not usually the appropriate way, but the book is covering the textbook. The textbook is covering the tables first, then allow you to then they talk about the form. So, but I want to do that in both ways. But ideally, if you're gonna create a form, is actually have the form tag inserted first. And I will talk about that in a little bit. I don't want to, lose you in this track. So the first thing I'm gonna do is the document title. We'll take that. I'm gonna say Washington State, appreciate your feedback. So I'm gonna do right here. It's a good idea to do spell checking, especially me. I'm dyslexic, and I'm going to go too fast. Not too fast. Fast for me. So we just did the heading. So the first apply heading to that one. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually insert a table. Then I'll show you how to delete, insert columns and rows, and also merge cells. So I'm gonna go insert Dreamweaver. You see a table tab in here, but this is since it's updated. So either way, it's fine. We're gonna insert table. Then I'm gonna tell how many rows and how many columns, the width, the border thickness, and I'll address that in each one. So how many rows I want to add into this? I want to do 9 rows. I want to do 3 columns. I want to change the pixel to 600%. The 600 pixels, I can change it to percentage. Maybe it's not a good idea because, and maybe it is. It's up to you. Border thickness is 0. I want to say header is none. So what is the header? Remember the th we did when we inserted table in HTML. Now the th, if you want to do it on the left side, we can select this one. You want to do it on the top side, it will be in this one, th for the cell, that is. You want to do for the top row and the left column, you can select that one. But since I don't want anything, that I'm gonna leave it like this. Caption, if you want to do caption, that is fine. There's no other program actually I know that I'll ask you to do this, but you can add the caption into the table once you have it inserted. And the summary, if you're interested, you can type your feedback will help us, or whatever you think is appropriate to improve our services. Okay. Now it says cell padding and cell spacing. The cell padding, the border, the cell spacing is actually how far each cell that is. All right. So again, we don't usually touch these unless we have to for certain activities. Click OK. Now this cell is actually we're gonna try to center this cell. So once the cell is selected, click Property. And this is the property of the cell. What is it we want to do with it? I want to align it center. And I can change more in here. I can add more table, more columns, more rows. if you want to change the cells padding and spacing, and we can add a border. But I want to give it a name. We're not going to use it for now, but it's always good to have some of those elements with names. Click enter to accept. Okay, so the Washington State is on top. You know, if it's there, that is fine. We can also put it at the bottom. What are we going to do now? We're going to start working with resizing the columns, resizing the cell, and so on. But I added an extra column. So to delete the columns, simply go up this way. You see how the arrow is facing downward, and it's thick arrow, and it's actually highlighting the entire column. Then I can go modify table and delete column. It's recognized that. So, but it's still, although deleted the column, but the table is still 600 pixels. So that's excellent. So right here, again, we've done that in HTML. I'm gonna set the width of this first column, and I'm gonna make it 200 pixel. You can actually do it in here. And we just resize it, or you can actually do drag and drop if you're interested. It will gives you an idea where we are on top. So it's 200 pixel right here. Okay, so you can see indicator right here what everything is. So the first cell, I'm gonna go ahead and start typing information, full name, hit down arrow, email address, phone number. Just go ahead and complete this on your own. And I'll come back to this after I enter everything. All right. Here we go. So I finished adding this content for each cell, and I left this one blank for future use. And what I'm gonna do now is actually I need to add another row. So the fastest way to another row to the bottom of the cell is go to the very last cell and hit the tab key. It will add another row. But if you want to add a row between the cells, you can be on any cell you want, right here, and you go to modify tables, insert row, and tell you and shows you where it is. So Control Z to undo. We don't need that for now. So the reason I have the last row is because I want to actually add those buttons. So the control is going to be in here, and the button is going to be in here to submit or reset. So I'm going to highlight those two cells because I want to merge those. I'm going to make them as a one cell. This is what we have column span. Is a tag. We don't need to be concerned with. I can show it to you. Is actually column span over two cells. Or you can do row span, which is actually if you want to merge those two cells right here. But I want to merge those two cells right this way. I'm going to go to property. In the property, I want to see this merge and unmerge. So I'm going to click merge cells right here. So I'm done. My table is ready. So now I want to go ahead and create my form, then copy or cut that table from that page and put it in that form. So let's talk about the form feedback. Let me go right here. Let me show you an example. So I'm going to go ahead, go and show an example here. I'm going to go to my website, and I'm going to go contact us or pricing. So I'm going to show you contact us first. So this is actually a form with a CAPTCHA right here that allow us to, if I want somebody want send me an information, put their first name, last name, email, phone number. The purpose, this is actually combo box and the comments, and they send it to me. CAPTCHA is just to make sure that it's not a machine who is actually sending the information to me. And here is the pricing form. Again, I need to fix that. A first name, last name, email address, confirm, business type, what they wanted to do, and so on and so on. Their budget, again, their CAPTCHA to actually submit this. I need to update my CAPTCHA. It changed from regular CAPTCHA to reCAPTCHA. I'll go ahead and change that later. All right. Good thing I use this so I know what's going on. What I'm saying is all this here are in within the form tag. The form tag has a way to post that information into the server and send it to us, or save it on the server in whether on a database or XML sheet or some other list media, and we can have that access information to it. However, all these controls do work inside the form only. It would not work outside the form. So you want to make sure before you inserting all these input controls, you want to have the form, and inside the input controls, inside the form, you start adding those input controls. So let me explain. So in my Dreamweaver here, I'm going to put input controls for all these cells right here, like full name, email address, and so on. But I'm not going to be able to submit them until I put them in all a form tag. And I can set the form tag property to see how it's going to be processed. So the first thing I'm going to do now is actually insert the form tag. I can do from the insert tab right here, or I can do it right from insert HTML right here, or this form actually right here. So I'm going to use this one. It's actually easier and faster. I can see what I'm doing. So the very first thing I want to do is I'm going to switch this from here to form. So I have all the form elements in here that I'm going to use. And as you see, the very first thing you need to insert is actually the form tag. So I'm right there, click form, and it's right. The form is actually inserted. Now I have to go ahead and set the form itself to be processed. So you can do that later, and you can do it now or before that. So in the property of the form, I'm going to give the form a name, so I know when it comes to me, it has a name. I'm going to name that feedback. And if there is any, you create a class style, attach a class style to it. And here is how you want to process that form, the action. So if you want to post the information you gathering from that particular form into another media, then you can choose that media and the way it's processed. Actually, that codes come usually from your web hosting service. So here is to actually post, and get is actually again it's vice versa. You get information from your server and actually edit it in here. That's when you log into your for instance, to check balances. That's what happens. When next time you log in, you use the get action to post information from the server to your screen to see how much your balances are. At any rate, but we're gonna use a simple action form. It's actually we're gonna do mail to, so the form is gonna be coming to us, and you can put your email address in here, and you can allow autocomplete. If this is would collaborate with your browser. If your information on your browser is saved, it automatically can generate that information for you. Otherwise, it's not. Here's no validations. If you have a validation program like JavaScript, you can actually do it in here. And target is actually open a new page or just maintained in this one. So that I'm going to go inside here now. You can see this red dotted area. This is telling me I'm inside the form. And you want to make sure up down here is showing you that you are inside the form. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to select my table, cut it, and paste it in here. So to do that, I'm going to go to the table, select it. This is the table. It's select. And then I'm going to go edit, cut, and inside the form, do not select the form. If you select the form, it's going to look a solid black. I don't want to do that. That's when you paste it, you actually need to place in the form, and make sure not to do that. I want to be inside the form, just like that. Then I'm going to do edit. Okay, and there it is. Now I'm going to go ahead and start playing around with that. So now I'm going to insert controls to collect information from the user and actually send to me. So the first control I'm going to insert is actually, let's talk about those controls here. So Dreamweaver and some other online tools that actually use these techniques now but not necessarily. They're all based on basic input controls. The text box, email, and password and number are the same text controls, but they add some kind of validation to make sure what you're adding is correct. So here I'm going to add the text, drag and drop. You can delete the label. This is usually done by Dreamweaver. And I can click on this here and go to the property and start setting it up. Please remember that each control has to have a proper name. And the proper name for this one is actually full name without any spacing. Sometimes you can get away with that, but a lot of times you don't. So please do not allow spacing. And then the size actually is how much the width of how many characters width of that particular control. I'm going to say 50 characters long. You can add a title if you want. The value, if you put a value in here, is actually inserting automatic text. The user have to delete that text and add their in-person information. Maximum length here, I want to say they are not allowed to add more than 100 characters long. So this is that's two different things. Here is the size, how it appears, and here is the limitation, how many characters are actually adding into the that control. Do I need it? Yes, I do need it. Autocomplete, if you want, sure. Allow the browser to start autocompleting that information. And autofocus, that's means as soon as that particular form of the page opened up, my mouse, my pointer would be focused and that would be right in that particular text box. Okay, so that's the first one. Let's go to the second one. The second one, as you can see, I'm going to add email address. I can double click to add it. Oops. Let's delete one of them. And go ahead. Delete the label for this one. Make sure to delete the colons. And again, I want to do this one. Email is fine. I can make it capital since I'm doing all that. 50 characters long because I want it to be the same width. And 100 characters maximum. I don't think any email is going to be more than 100 characters long. Required, yes. Autocomplete, sure. But don't do autofocus. You only need one control to be autofocus, which is the very first one. And every time the user can hit tab to allow them to go from one control to another. Then I'm going to go phone number right here. For the phone number, I'm going to add tel, which is for telephone number, which is another text box. But it's, it formats it this way by Dreamweaver. It's going to be a phone number. So it's going to be phone number format. You don't worry about the size of the telephone, but I want to change that from tel to phone, and it is required. Autocomplete is necessary. And in my address, I'm going to insert a normal text box, remove that field, select that control, name it address, size 50 and 100 characters long. And you can leave this as option because what I want from them mainly is the email and the phone number, and everything else should be an option. So you don't worry about that. Don't let them worry about that. I'm sorry. And in here, I'm gonna start inserting controls. Sometimes, hopefully they fixed it. I had problems in the past for the way the 2 characters long, but let's see. I'm not gonna talk about anything until it's done. So I'm gonna add another text box, delete the label for it, and it's gonna be actually the city. And the city, we're gonna change the text field name to city. I want it to be 15 characters long and 50 characters maximum. Required, no, keep that as an option. Next to it, add another text box, change the field to state. Now the state is actually 2 characters long. So I'm gonna write here put 2 characters long, but when I put 2 characters in and width did not quite appear correctly, so I'm not gonna make it 4. You just make sure it appeared correctly. Change that one to state. Change the name of it to state. And the last thing I'm gonna add actually is zip code. So it's gonna be another text box. Change that one to zip code, or just and in the box itself, type zip code. Size is 10, unless you want to do the dashes, and the maximum is actually 10. Okay, so far so good. Let's save it. Got viewed in the browser as feedback form, and view it in the browser. So you see, that's what I was talking about. It looks good on my page, but it does not look in here. So I'm gonna resize the Washington State. So let's go back here. The state, I'm gonna make it 2 characters long. Hopefully that appears better. Control S to save. Go right here and refresh. That's okay. You just go ahead and probably resize this if you're interested, or make the tables a little bit bigger. Let's minimize that. Before I start working with gender, that state, actually I'm gonna have a default value WA. That's mean we're only working with Washington State folks. And I'll show you how it appears. They can replace it if they want to by deleting it, just like that, and they add their own information. But by default, it's actually Washington State, which is this is not bad. Okay, let's continue. Gender now. The gender is gonna allow you to have an option, whether female or male, maybe others now. Some people refuse to actually state what kind of gender they are, which is we kind of respect that. But to add a radio option, it's just those buttons allow you to select only one of those listed items. You have to be careful how to actually work with that. Dreamweaver has an awesome tool to keep everything grouped. Other software do not have that ability. So again, this is the benefit of Dreamweaver. So I'm gonna look into this area here for radio button group. So the radio buttons individually, I don't want to do individually, I want to do group. Just please do that. So click on that, and here what I'm gonna give it a name, and the name is gonna be gender. Then I'm gonna start adding the values. The first one is gonna be female. In here it's gonna be female. So, and here male, and male. And if you would like to add another radio button, you can go ahead and change that to other, or prefer not to say. That is fine. Now, how I'm gonna present visually this particular radios, they can do a table, or they can do it by inserting a line break between each item. So I'm gonna leave that here. I'm gonna remove the line break afterward. Click OK. Again, I'm gonna go right here. I'm gonna make those in one line, and that's how it looks. I mean, you can leave them on the table, or you can leave them the way they are, but I like to be in one line. Control S to save. So I should have broken this video into 2 videos. I'm sorry. I didn't realize it's going to take that long. At any rate, so what's concerned, we're going to now add a combo box. So from here, we're going to look for a combo or select box. It's actually the real terminology for it. And remove that select label. Now I'm going to add that. As of now, the list is empty. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and add the list into it. So I'm going to change the name of this to list. I'm sorry, to concern. don't worry about the size. It automatically resize to the list that you are actually adding in here. So I'm going to start adding the list. It's based on the handouts you have. So the first one, I'm going to say employment. Hit the tab key, jobs. Add another one. Just by tab key, go to the next one to add another one. I want to do health. Tab, health. Tab, don't hit enter. You want to make sure you do tab. Otherwise, if you hit enter, you close it. But you can open it again and start inserting using this plus button right here. This one's going to be school, safety, Sometimes the value is different than the label. That's okay. But this time we're trying to make it similar. It will be easier. And select an item. Select item. Now you see the select item a lot, but this select item is not something I wanted to collect from the user. Just to have a label to tell the people go ahead and do this. So if I click on this one here, and you can see employment is the first one. I don't want the employment to be the first one. I want actually, but I can go down here and make select items as the first first item on the list to appear. But you can see, I'll show you. Let me save this. Refresh. Although the select item is there, but it's still at the bottom. It's not a good it's not a good practice. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to move that select item to the top. To do this, in my Dreamweaver, go to list value again, go back, select that select item, and start moving it up, just like that, all the way to the top. Then click OK, and Control S to save. Let me close this because it's not showing everything I wanted to show. F12 here, and there you go. And this is much more appropriate. Okay, back in the Dreamweaver, how to get back to you. This is actually, we're going to insert checkboxes because we want people to select multiple options to get back to them, via email, via mail, via phone number. So we might probably do all three of them, or just one or two. So another thing that Dreamweaver is really good at doing that is actually creating a group options, group checkboxes. You know what? It doesn't matter if they're grouped or not, because checkboxes could be in one group, could be in a different group. But at any rate, we're going to use the checkbox group because it's easier to actually input that information in there. So in checkboxes group, we're going to give it a name, contact. And the first contact, the first checkbox, I'm going to type email, tab email, the next option is going to be, or the next checkbox is going to be phone, and I'm going to add another one after this one. And this checkbox here is mail, which is regular mail as well. I'm going to leave this line break and click OK. This is fine right here. I'm going to scroll down, and in my comments I'm going to actually ask for more information than what the regular text box is giving me. The text box, the maximum, if you leave it blank, the maximum characters they can actually add in there is 256 characters only. So that's limitation. But if I added a text area, the text area they allow you to add up to 1500 characters or maybe more now. So this is the text area. So I'm gonna input or insert. I'm gonna delete the labels for this. I'm gonna select the control, give it the control a name, comment, and I'm gonna change the behavior or the way the control looks by adding rows and columns, which is gonna be 5 rows, trying to match match the columns to the controls I have on the top. Is that required? Yes, because there's a reason they're contacting us. What is the reason? So we want to do required, and you can tell them 1,000 characters long if you want to have limitation of that, or just leave it blank. So Control S to save. Go right here, go refresh it, and so far we have this. Uh, this is not every browser does that. Actually, you can resize this, but not every browser does that. Now, all that information is collected. We have to have a way to submit it. So to submit it is actually we have to have a submit and reset button. So I'm going to go back to my Dreamweaver, right in that last cell right here. So in here, I'm going to add the two buttons to submit the information and clear the information. From the controls here, I'm going to click the submit button. The submit is actually a name. Do you need that name to stay? But I can change the value of that name to continue. I can add characters like this. That is fine. And next to it, I want to add the reset. You can change that to clear or start over. Okay, and I'm gonna select that TD because I want to align it center. So, and here we are. Control S to save. Let's go back and see if it's correctly done. I can click continue. It's telling me, hey, you need to fill this up. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill this. I have the autocomplete. That is fine. Change my information in here. Look how nice that is. Let me remove my address. That's my home address. You don't need to see that. Okay, I'm a male. What's about employment? You can do by email, and here this is only a test. So what happened when I do this? Because it's actually set to my email, it's gonna start my email address. It's gonna start my Outlook to actually process this, and there they are. Okay, thank you for watching this video, and we're done with Dreamweaver. I hope you enjoyed that Dreamweaver part.